So as I've been exploring how to balance, oh no, don't start whining, sweetie. Oh, honey, I'm sorry. She wants me to play with her. This dog appeared in our life yesterday. She's a stray in the neighborhood. We think she belonged to a guy who was kind of camping out, who seems to have disappeared. And she just adopted us. She had been bounding over to our house to play with Sylvie whenever Sylvie was in the backyard, and then would sort of disappear. And then yesterday she came up and my husband was sitting on the porch and she just leapt into his lap and said, "I'm home." So we're still trying to connect with the person we think is her owner, but he doesn't seem to be around. That's Sylvie. Yeah, so you asked the 78 what energies are emerging in your life, and sometimes sometimes the energy looks like a young, not yet spayed, incredibly sweet, a little bit pushy, a little bit of a nudgnik boxer. Yeah. Sort of like a little visit from Homer in our dog that died in December in New Skin. Literally came into our lives, bounded into my husband's lap yesterday, pretty much at the same time that I was upstairs taking my tarot pulse. Go lie down, sweetie. So there you have it, folks. Sometimes when you invite the universe to move energy into your world, it takes the shape of, a 70-pound boxer. Yeah. So I don't know, we're trying to reach out to various contacts to try to find the owner, but it doesn't bode well that she was and has been for several weeks now outside for long periods of time. She had no collar. She's a fully intact female, running around the neighborhood. Yeah. So I'm kind of thinking this sweetie is going to end up in our home, and looking for a good dog name. If you can think of something that really fits that sort of boxer energy, the sweetness, the kind of, blockhead, the little squat blockhead face of the boxer, her little stubby little sweet little nose, her like pushiness. she really wants to stand up and just put her front paws around you, and then to wriggle her way out of everything. Anyway, if you can think of any good name, put it down below. Meanwhile, coming back to the tarot pulse, and it's not always this way where the cards are just like boom, 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 just so full frontal in their communication. But there's something I think, and I've noticed this before when I've done readings on YouTube for myself, that there's something about bringing the intention to offer not just my reading for me, but to illustrate the connection with the cards and with this present moment for you, that can sometimes just lift everything a little bit. So it's been really 3 really powerful days of readings, just like boom, boom, boom. So just to recap, I'm not going to say too much about the readings from yesterday or the day before, but centrally, the sort of the question of steadiness and this energy of the 7, what it means to be able to move forward according to one's deepest inspiration, and how that gets blocked when it's hard for the heart to soften and open and yield and trust. So the 7 of Swords has been a really central card. And then a question about energy, and particularly the sort of King of Wands energy of, energy in the sense of vigor and vim, the fire in the belly kind of energy, and particularly in the context of, as I was saying, the King of Wands. So what does it mean to kind of see the big picture and to bring that oomph forward? Okay, so that's kind of the themes that have been floating about. And so here's tonight's reading. So the first card, Ten of Wands. Now, in Maggie Stiefvater's deck, the Ten of Wands, she explicitly makes connection between the King of Wands and the Ten of Wands. She says, these are pretty much the same card. And the thing about the Ten of Wands, this is the card of Crowley Harris. In that deck, it's called Oppression, right? This is the card where, it's like what happens when we try to hold in our own person all of the fire of the universe, when we do something, when we do anything and we think that we're doing it out of our own power, we end up carrying that. So, this elk with his tremendous rack, which is just making him bow his head. And Maggie Stiefvater says something like, okay, you're at, you've envisioned and culminated this great work. And now what? Are you going to just let go, maybe? Let yourself move on to a new beginning? She says, the elk, all he has to do is shake his head and he'll light everything on fire again. Is that what you want? So it's really a card that's, she says, both of these cards, they're really cards of responsibility. And that's how I've often felt the fire of the wands, is that it's a suit that's about our ability to respond to the world, to really be pulled into action and activity. It's the suit that's closest to, in the court, the knights, that kind of active first responder, that kind of active moving forward with a warrior energy, with a healer energy, with an artist's energy to meet the world and heal it, save it, reflect it, shape it, transform it. And that responsibility of the wands becomes a sense of deep responsibility. And that's where the oppression lies. So this is a very familiar card and a very familiar feeling to me. This is old. This is Lisa. This is a very old sense of Lisa. This is a very new sense of Lisa. The next card was the Page of Coins. So what would it mean to be in that open potential space in the material world, in the world of embodiment, in the world of the flesh, in the world of nature, a sense of optimism and growth potential, not responsibility, but just this possibility of being in the moment and being really alive to the moment. The card that was right next to that, the Seven of freaking Cups. Here it is again. But in this context, and also in Maggie Stiefvater's deck, what this suggests to me is it's not so much about being stuck as about the opportunity to grow, to choose, the opportunity to decide what fire to kindle and not to feel the weight of the world. So it's this way in which this sevenness of the Seven of Cups doesn't have to have the weightiness of responsibility, like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep doing it. I'll be there. I promise. I have a friend who once said that, she takes on, she'll take on a new responsibility in her life, or, like, oh, okay, I'm going to lead this group, or I'm going to, convene a meeting every month at my house to do blah, blah, blah. And she'll feel inspired to take up that task, and then she'll put it in her calendar, in her phone, and then now she's in it. She's going to do it. And she said there's just this sort of quality of, how things just get scheduled, and now that's her life. And as she was saying this, she was like, that's my life, and it's okay. But I also know that she suffers with that energy. So, this is this reminder, like, it's open. It really is open. It's all really open right now in this moment. And then guess what the final card was, folks? So the Seven of Cups and the Seven of Swords, it's like 3 days in a row, these cards are saying, and in two different decks, are like, yep. But the Seven of Swords now being at the end of the tarot pulse, bringing up the rear, and it's like the movement of the cards as I've reflected on them, as I've allowed there to be, it's just like anything. It's like feedback, biofeedback. You know, you start to notice your own breathing, and the breathing starts to slow, and the nervous system starts to downshift, and we start to self-regulate, come back to a new, more skillful, more balanced baseline. Tarot pulse is like that too. So we see the energy of the cards, we bring that energy into our hearts, we reflect upon it, we engage with it, and the energy starts to move. We respond to that, reflect upon it, engage with it. The energy keeps moving. So this is how reading the tarot and having a daily tarot practice can become a little bit of an iterative process where things, it's not just helping us moment by moment. It's not just a kind of a, you know, the 78 cards as our counselor, as our spirit guide, helping us navigate life's choices. It's actually helping us reimagine and re-inhabit in a new register the same body, heart, mind that we have been, but now just aligned a little bit differently. Feedback. So the Seven of Swords bringing up the rear here, suggesting that the trust that needs to happen is trusting in this open space of possibility. Not feeling my own responsive heart as being a burden, like I'm taking on more responsibilities in the world, but instead surrendering to possibility. So how am I going to keep exploring this? I love Maggie Stiefvater's deck, but I feel impelled. This is where we move into an unboxing. I feel impelled to start working with a new deck that just arrived today. It's a new old deck, and look how beautifully wrapped this is. This is from an Etsy dealer called Love Tarot World, I think. Love Tarot Reading. And she is based in Japan and often has sort of out-of-print, hard-to-find decks. And she had a copy for a very nice price of a deck that I've wanted for a few years now. I don't really know why. I'm not so much a cutesy deck person, although I do own some cutesy decks. And I just ordered a copy of the Dark Mansion, so I even like, you know, the kind of deck that Kelly Bear will call cute creepy or creepy cute. But yeah. But I've never really necessarily thought that I needed a copy of this until now. Yeah, so the Stella Tarot. When did this come out again? I can't remember. 2012? Is that right? Okay, so I think I want to start reading with this. I think that's the energy I want to bring into my Tarot Pulse, into my daily work over the next day or so. And just, I don't know why, I still feel like I want to be working with Cups energy. But maybe what I want now is kind of playful, that cup side that ties into childhood. That sort of way in which the Six of Cups is a kind of pivotal, as all the sixes are, a kind of pivotal card in the cups, that nostalgic childhood place. So, I love new tarot smell. So, you know, the chunky little white book, which I know nothing about. And I don't know about you, but I can't even see it. There we go. In unboxing videos, I always tune out when they're talking about the little white book because I don't really care. So, yeah, really nice cardstock, by the way. This is a deck. I've looked at many videos of this deck and many online reviews. So I'm familiar with the imagery, but it's different, of course, to see it in person. And this is a deck that, oh, I love that strength card. This is a deck that I don't mind the borders at all. I love the borders. I don't know why. I don't have anything to say. Yeah. Oh, oh, sweetie. I love it. Stella's Tarot. So I don't really know. I don't really know. I now own this deck, and I'm going to play with it. Even before I get a bag for it, which is like unheard of in the Lisa world. I'm going to play with this deck. I'm going to play with this deck tomorrow, maybe even tonight. Okay, so there we go. Stella's Tarot, keeping the Tarot Pulse readings going. I may do a check-in, probably not tomorrow because I teach tomorrow night, but I'll let you know how the journey goes. Okay, y'all. Thank you so much for your practice.